All right, let's jump right into this explainer by asking one of the most common, yet honestly most misunderstood questions out there about albinism. Is it actually a disability? It's a question that brings up a ton of confusion, mostly because the everyday realities of this condition are just rarely explained in full. Well, the short answer is yes, absolutely. But the biological and legal reasons why are completely fascinating. I mean, it's not just a matter of checking a bureaucratic box. It is deeply rooted in how the human body develops and how it interacts with the world around it. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down the complex biological realities of albinism. We'll look at its genetic and neurological origins and unpack exactly why international law formally recognizes it as a disability. Because there's a profound story here, really, about human biology, adaptation, and the legal frameworks designed to protect equal participation in our society. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The genetics of albinism. 2. Brain wiring and visual adaptations. 3. Physical and visual impacts. 4. Recognizing albinism as a disability. And 5. Human rights and accommodations. Okay, let's get right into Section 1, the genetics of albinism. Now, this single missing pigment is literally the pivot point for everything else we're going to discuss today. Albinism is rare and it's inherited. Basically, for a child to be born with most types of albinism, both parents must carry the faulty gene trait. When that happens, the body simply doesn't manufacture melanin, or it produces very, very little of it. Think of melanin as the paint palette of human biology. It gives color to our skin, our hair, and our eyes. But as we'll see in a minute, it actually does so much more than just provide color. Visually speaking, this lack of melanin creates specific, highly recognizable physical traits. The skin is typically very pale or white. Hair can range from stark white to light blonde or even light brown or red. The eyes are usually light blue, gray, or hazel. Actually, because there's so little pigment in the iris, the blood vessels in the back of the eye can sometimes reflect light, which is exactly why their eyes might look red or pink under certain lighting conditions. But, and this is absolutely vital, we have to separate external appearance from internal function. Here is an absolutely crucial point. Albinism has exactly zero impact on a person's intelligence, their ability to learn, or how long they live. We're talking a 100% normal lifespan and normal cognitive function. Aside from the highly specialized wiring tied to eye development, which we're just about to cover, the rest of the brain structure operates perfectly normally. Which brings us to Section 2, brain wiring and visual adaptations. So a lack of melanin during embryonic growth literally changes the cables in the brain. It turns out melanin plays a bizarrely critical role in the development of optical pathways before a person is even born. Without it, there's an underdevelopment in the retina, something known as foveal hypoplasia. Furthermore, the optic nerve actually misroutes. In a typical brain, optic nerve fibers cross over at a specific junction called the optic chiasm. But in a brain with albinism, significantly more nerve fibers cross from one side to the other. This creates a totally unique structural wiring in the visual pathways. And honestly, this next part brilliantly illustrates the sheer adaptability of the human brain. Because of this unique wiring, people with albinism often have nystagmus, which is a fast, uncontrollable bouncing of the eyes. Now, you would think this means they see the world constantly shaking, right? Like a jittery handheld camera. But no, the brain actually learns to interpret these unusual, shaky signals so the individual's view of the world stays perfectly still. It's just a stunning neurological workaround. Moving right along to Section 3, physical and visual impacts. As you can imagine, the daily lived experience involves navigating some pretty profound permanent barriers. On the visual side, we're talking about uncorrectable reduced visual acuity. In fact, many individuals meet the legal threshold for blindness. They experience photophobia, where bright light literally causes physical eye pain, alongside focus issues like blurry sight, crossed eyes, or astigmatism. And then on the physical side, the lack of melanin means there is absolutely zero natural defense against UV radiation. The sun is an immediate, severe hazard, bringing a constant, lifelong threat of skin cancer. Because these physical vulnerabilities are so extreme, individuals have to adopt strict routines just to stay safe. A casual trip to the park isn't just a fun walk in the sun. It requires heavy protective gear, careful planning to strictly limit UV exposure, and a serious commitment to lifelong health monitoring. The lifestyle changes required to manage this condition are significant, and they are nonstop. Let's look at Section 4, recognizing albinism as a disability. The label of disability here isn't just medical. It is an absolutely vital legal shield. The classification depends directly on how the condition impacts daily activities. Severe visual impairments create functional barriers that hinder routine tasks like driving, reading, or writing. Because of this, major international frameworks and national legal systems formally recognize albinism as a disability. And this recognition is crucial, folks. It provides legal protections against systemic discrimination and acts as a powerful counterforce to the severe social barriers, societal stigma, and harmful myths that so many affected individuals face. And finally, Section 5, Human Rights and Accommodations. This mandate from the United Nations is a powerful global standard. It explicitly ensures that the systemic social barriers and discrimination marginalized individuals face are actively dismantled. What's great about this is that it moves the responsibility away from the individual with albinism, placing the onus right where it belongs, on society and institutions to ensure equal participation and safety. In practical, everyday terms, this translates directly into the workplace and the classroom. Legislation guided by frameworks like the Job Accommodation Network requires employers to provide reasonable accommodations. This means providing specific tools like high-contrast screens to aid with low vision, or modifying the lighting environment to prevent the severe eye pain caused by photophobia. These aren't just special perks. They are necessary tools mandated by law to level the playing field and ensure equal participation. Understanding the science, the missing melanin, the misrouted optic nerves, the extreme vulnerability to the sun is just the first step. But the real question this leaves us with is how we can each contribute to a society that respects these realities. How do we move beyond just understanding the biology to actively removing the physical, workplace, and social barriers that people with albinism face every single day? It's definitely something to think about the next time you consider how our environments are designed and who they might unintentionally exclude. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this provided a much clearer view of the fascinating realities behind albinism.